those guys had just left when I got there, so because they're a little older than me. But there was like guys like Franklin Monell, the older guys, Alison Monell, Tim Tura.
It's like and that bring back memories of Naked Fit.
Naked Fit, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we were all part of Naked Fit. Yeah, and I was just telling Mr. Henry the other day. I remember one day, you stand up talking to us and you come about the encomienda system. He told me it's interesting to see what guys remember to bring, to make it. Yeah.
Also, you are not telling the audience that you were a centimeter close to playing for Kassan.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
Kassan actually recruited him, but because of some family.
Yeah, well, my brother moved to the States and he filed for eight of us. And that was a long time coming. And that was during the time I was with Billowman. I was touring, traveling Billowman. And then after Billowman broke up, I was going back to Dominica. And they called me up and told me that they're trying to form this group. They're going to form this group, a group, and they're going to call it Kassav. And they want me to be the lead singer. I said, okay, all right, because Billoway just broke up. So yeah, no problem. So we say, okay, can you come up to a meeting that we're going to keep to decide how we're going to approach this, what we're going to do? I said, okay, I came up, I went to that meeting, we sat down, we talked about it. And then at that time, that's when my people came through from America. And I was
That's about history.
I was Got
Dr. Dubs.
Got to make a decision.
Dr. Dubs. Oh, it's a very kind of experience shaped you as one of the finest centers in the Western Hemisphere. Was it an area also involved with several of the experience yesterday, how regular impact on your life and your career?
Well, as SMA, one key things are the discipline, which kept you in check. That was one. As I mentioned, the camaraderie. I mean, it's like you're in school, you're in class, but it's like, I mean, the competition is there. There are some guys who are very smart, much smarter than you, but I mean, that's not like a factor that would prevent you from doing what you have to do. And just the link, man, the activities, play together, come out country, and you go for a rough time. I mean, in the initial, after the initiation, you always have that. I don't know if it's phobia, but you come out country and you be them guys in town, and it's like they're the guys, who control the things around, and you have to try to fit in and adjust. But after a while, you just get into it. And I want to point out an important person who played a part in SMA. SMA, baby, not on? It on?
Yes.
Yeah. A lady who, I mean, everybody here would give her a round of applause. A lady called Miss Murray.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, this lady was, I mean, played a tremendous part. And when you got the history, she started even way before her time. This lady used to sell bakes. And that bakes, that recipe was patented. Nobody else did because nobody can make a bakes like this. But baked coconut cheese, I mean, when that bell ring, you have to be, like you said, bold because you have to get out of that classroom to be
First in line.
first in line. And that bakes. But the nice thing about the bakes, you should take the coconut cheese and put in that bakes and make a sandwich. And my, that's a tastes good. But I mean, I found out also that she was a lady. If you come and tell her, boy, it's married, I don't want it today. She would just give you the recess without any qualm. I mean, and she played an important part in nurturing us and feeding us. In fact, she had two children who went to school together for us on the age. And so I just really had to mention that. And another impact I had to bring forward to this the revolution. I mean, I mentioned about the discipline with the tie and so on, but we coming from Maho, when we came and the activity was happening, I so was Glenn. We decide, well, our parents in Maho, they can't come for us in Roseau, so we joined in the revolution. So that's how we got involved, the whole scheme of things, and it was really an interesting time, the whole Black Power movement and so on. And it just shaped your mind as to the differences in approaches to certain things, doing things different ways. And the community awareness, which was always in us, it just bring everything together. So we just continue in that same vein, right?
Okay, what about you, Tuti? Yes.
What was the question?
The question I know, SMA is there any kind of experience at school, if your way into your career and your life in general?
Okay, so I grew up in Harlem, Newtown, and I was lucky enough to go to high school. So um, I was part of the Harlem committee where we did more than one thing, not just soccer. I mean, soccer was just what was visible, but we did a lot of stuff. We did a lot of educational things. We had food drives. I mean, it was just a lot of. It was a culture. It was a community. Tipam, you were saying that you guys originated. The band that he was telling me just recently, Tipam, that they were sports team before they became Grammars. It's the same thing. We never became anything, but we sports was a big thing for us. And I remember going to high school. I mean, you have responsibility, right, being in the community. So the guys like Old Girls, Randy Kaiser back there, and all of them, I would have to go meet with them, and they would give me my assignments, and I would have to go all day and try to do it, and come back in the evening and report. And so it gave me that sense of community. So that was really important for me. You know what I'm saying? It made me, it changed it kind of changed my personality. I had to be a little more outgoing because I was pretty shy growing up, to be honest. Um, but what that did was it gave me perspective. It let me realize that it's not all about me. There's a bigger community. So now that I work in Native American communities, it's a very natural transition. I mean, it's no accident that I ended up there, to be honest. I mean, could have worked in the corporate environment. It would be great, but the stockholders, that's all they care about, right? The next buck. At least in the Native American community, when we bring progress there, it's for the community. They build schools. They can educate their kids. They have health clinics, and just a whole bunch of things that they can do. So I think that transition was natural. I mean, I didn't go looking for it over there either, but I think just the origin where I started just naturally transitioned to this. So I mean, the education itself for me was wonderful. As I said, I wasn't the top student, but through osmosis I got enough at this to transition to college.
How were you able to mix sports and education because you were also one of the finest sportsmen during it?
Well, I'm telling you, that's
How were you able to mix it?
not very well, to be honest. Because I played a lot of sports, Mr. Volney and a number of other people, Cottingham, Mr. Sorrento is not there today, but so that was a big part of what I did. So I played cricket and I played soccer, and so that was good. But I mean, I was fairly intelligent, so I was able to get through the classes. I wasn't the top student, in no way, but then once I went to college, as I was saying, the I didn't realize how much knowledge I gathered. I thought I was like an average student, to be honest. But once you get there in your environment with people who supposedly go through high schools, not only in the US, all over the world, and you realize again the linguistics. You mentioned that was something that I took note of. And now I think I just and then there are a couple people, to be honest, and I do want to bring up one tonight. Mr. Ray Harris there. I mean, he taught for a little while I was there, but I got to know him, and I'd have a lot of conversations with him, and just the way he would structure thought process. I mean, all these things you don't know they're going to benefit you until it does. Because, for example, you have a kid and you keep telling the kids, don't do this, or eat this, and they rebel all the way until you don't tell them anymore. Suddenly they become the best eaters, or that's how it is. It's osmosis. It takes time. You just have to keep rebel. So I had the privilege of talking to him a lot, and just giving me insights into things. And now I see the benefit of it now. I mean,
Absolutely. This question is not for you to answer, but I knew there was always a closeness between St. Mary's Academy and the convent high school. This is not for you to answer. The final question
Nice
is,
acronym.
I don't know answer.
Why you?
There was always that relationship.
oh, for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
for me. Oh yeah, well it was an all SMA is an all boys school. Convent is all girls school. You know what I'm saying? And there's the natural connection. Natural
Because I
connection.
understand at some point in time there were some classes that were given
Yeah.
and both SMA and convent would attend,
Yeah.
and at SMA and vice versa.
How would I did I miss that?
I don't know which period, possibly they tell us. But
I didn't-
I think it got that time.
I didn't experience
Yeah.
There
that.
were several classes that were held, SME classes that were held, I think the subject of
Right.
foreign languages.
And they
Held at
that.
convent.
Yeah.
And some of the convent classes, so the girls will have to come over.
Really?
And SME. I
Absolutely.
was really disappointed that it continued from 75. Final question for this first panel is how important it is to continue to give back to the school that really gave you that impetus, that foundation. They said there is a
Yeah.
how important.
Well, go back 1 year, and I got a call from Alvin. Hey, Tuti, we gotta do this. We gotta do this. SMA, we gotta have a reunion. And okay, when Alvin call you and he put the squeeze on you like this, I'm going to say no. I can't say no. I say okay, I'm in. I don't even know what I was gonna do. I have no idea what's gonna happen. I tell him I'm in. So just to see the progress of this from where we started about a year ago, to now, and the involvement that people have had, and it really is a testament to what the school meant to us.
Yeah.
And then just to see all the people that we've contacted, and they're excited to be part of it. I mean, 50-year anniversary, that's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And knowing that there's never been a reunion for SMA. So we aggressively pursued it. Of course, we had our ups and downs, and I was gonna call me and he stole my wrist. I said, I said that. You know what I'm saying?
And
Who does? Yeah, who does that?
I'm going to bully you.
Yes. Who
I'm going to get a chance to answer you.
who does that? You know what I'm saying? I was young, a little kid. I was, little. I told you I was shy.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
you were Meg.
I was Meg. Babe, you know what Meg means? I was thin. My wife doesn't speak real.
But that whole movement, how we are going to continue that movement to assist the Girls Academy. Today is the building, but then there are students, nurturing the students, sometimes actually mentoring them, visiting the school time and time again to actually tell them about your career path and inspire them. What about you? And then we go to the further.
Yeah, it's always important to give back. I mean, as I said, I grew up always involved, and the transition to study in Cuba was like a natural progression. And what it taught me is in Cuba is humility. I mean, humility. You meet guys who are professors. I mean, top notch in whatever field, and these guys are just like ordinary guys, humble. So it showed me that hold on, that elitist thinking of okay, man is a medical doctor, and the society having like he's smarter than everybody else, or he might be an engineer, and you go around with people who have levels of education, and they are so simple and humble and easy to go with. So that hit me, and I mean, kind of helped my character and personality. And I'm just a community man up to now. We're still involved in what we have to do. But I think it's important that every alumni should always retrace the path towards the school that nurture you. Find some way to give back, talk to a student, guide somebody. You can give monetary, you can give up your time. So I think that would be a call for all alumni, whether it be SAB, grammar school, convert, to just rethink and give back. And teachers very important.
Thank you very much.
Give thanks to them.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
I think basically the same thing too. Um, because my path, like Damien's path was kind of academic. Mine, I went to college. I started college and then dropped out because I realized that, well, not that going further, trying to pursue my education, my path education wise was wrong or was not appropriate for me. But I always had a strong sense of what I wanted to do was music. But I had that foundation from high school, from SMA. And I think that I don't know if the fact that I lived in hostel was that was one of the influential things there. Because if you lived in hostel, you had to study, you had to do well. There was no two ways about it. And then, but one of the things that I was really I'm grateful for is that even though I did not go pursue the academic side, but I had enough of a foundation from school, from SMA, and I highly recommend anytime my family, after we all graduated, we started a scholarship fund in the name of my dad, mother, and grandmother to give to kids to go to school. We have some kids go to SMA that we have a fund that we supply
Foundation, man.
your foundation to do that.
Round of applause. Close to the piece, Damian Dublin, Lynn for that great job. Thank you very much, guys. Excellent. Round of applause. And we're getting set for a special presentation by a former monarch, Council Monarch of Dominica, one of the most memorable ever. St. Mary's Academy Roots. Make him feel welcome. Okay.
Hey, say a little
I'll
bit.
give him a chance to fix up his stuff with
I gotta
the
use the
audio. He always goes for perfection. And I guarantee he got that from the St. Mary's Academy. In the meantime, I would like to shout
Yeah.
out a few of the teachers between 1975 and 1980. Brother David, Brother Edward David. Before we go to the others, I really want to let's give.
Nothing.
There was no way I could get away from Brother Church. And that's because French was the French teacher. I liked football, he was the football coach. And when I said football coach, that's the only coach I know in the history of St.
You
Mary's
want another
Academy
stand that's
to man a team going for
lower
games to
level?
win a title.
Oh, you have stand.
To a practice.
This is the only one you have. Sorry. That's all.
come again with today is the Henry County. Everybody is pretend and talk about it's the morning advocate Facebook every single thing is saying it's a phenomenal work. We have people like Pastor Sabra. It's the program law, so if you want to fight the sickness teachers, you can never get. Dave pointing out also the history union classes. Mr. Giftus joined also the English, Brother French, also the chemistry and physics. Brother John with Spanish and religion, and also some theater. Hodge Oliver, Libra, Brother Peter, and so many others. I want to really thank you where we are viewing on this land because they did wonderful work for the 75 to 80 team. And I can tell you it was tough, especially if you are a little troublesome. If you are a little troublesome, Brother Jim will be able to fix you up. Oh, it was tough. It was really tough because as children, you tend to want to tough, want to, especially when a teacher is slack. Then once you hear a silence, not a pin can drop. Brother Jacob is at the window. And everyone so don't sleep lightning into your shower. Don't be still everything in life. Remember, life is separate, something
close to the rock. Swing close to the rock. Swing close to the rock. Swing close to the rock. I fix the houses of worship upon honorable men. Yet that selfless love and true friendship of which all men seek is nowhere to be found. So remember the Turkish children. Remember, preservation is the key. Life's an uncertain existence. Cause this is a jungle society. Yeah. Danger lurks everywhere you walk. And be wise, children, do not push your luck. Cause the few survive, other few listen. When the mother talks, she said, swim close to the rock. I do my favorite for Sandra Bell. All from the St. Mary's Academy. Yeah. This one is called You Never Know. Another very deep one. I've seen things in my lifetime, though I may be considered young, to show up like mine. What's right, what's wrong? Oh yes, in the powers of the great. I'm still world's power shakes hands. The ball of the Berlin Wall, the World Trade Center and all. I love to call the great because I have seen in my time. None is forward like the fall of a man. Men who seem to be indestructible just because of how they dealt with people. I've seen kings fall from grace to become the outcasts of the rich of the human race. So you never know how you end up tomorrow. You never know. You never know. So be careful what you sow. Because when a man has power, and he uses that power to rise and terrorize, so it's remember. Go further, go further. Go close. Go close. I've seen tyrants and dictators here yesterday and today gone. Oh yes, I've seen the supporters of dictators flee from their homes to live and die heartbroken in some faraway road. Until the power hungry leaders in this region who believe that their time has come to cling to power by all means possible at the sacrifice of their own people. They better start to think right before they end up like Chavez, begging for another chance at life. You never know. You never know how you'll end up tomorrow. You never know. You never know, so be careful of what you sow. Today you're a president, supporting your government, it victimizing your citizens.
remember that Saddam was president of Iraq. I in a hole like a rat. You don't want to live in the day. You never know. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Yeah, spiritual episode. I'll do this last one. I'll do this last one for you. It's called When People Don't Like You. I sang that one in 2017 and I won my first crown. I hope you love it as much as I love doing it. Take the chance to like this. When Moses left the Hebrews out of Egypt, they never liked it. They enjoyed it, but they never liked it. When Martin Luther King brought them freedom, some never liked it. They enjoyed it, but some never liked it. Oh, so when people who don't know me don't like me, don't ask me why, I guess it's just society. But I can't stop, I invest too much already. People like the leaders who set them free. But who is me? Who is me? When people don't like you, you can bring down manna from heaven. They won't like you. When they don't like you, you can open up to them and they'll still betray you. It's like they don't like you. It's not very simple. They say forgive them, but they don't not what they do. Take it from me. Your life is lost. It's not easy. Who is it lost? I'm sure everybody here can identify with this song. Everybody. Somebody make some noise. Let's make it there. Yeah, man. I don't want my verse for you. Dominic Adams sings really good enough. When it's so easy, hopeless, take this seriously. Cause I had a night in either reversing to make silence suffer. Sing your voice to sing, performance does not matter. Yeah, cause people like America and black people for their nature. Yeah, they hate white educated the children of slaves, and they just cannot be to their advantage, especially if you from a certain village. Be careful what you do, as they'll tell you, people against you, against you. When people like you can bring down just from heaven. They won't like you. When they don't like you, you can feed them and they will kill you. It's like they don't like you. It's not very simple to say for them, but they know not what they do. Take it from me. Your life is lost. It's not easy. Who is it lost? In the name of my alma mater, it's my time here. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. See you on Friday.
Let it go for Darren Butler. Wonderful. We're going to be second group of panelists. Mr. Sobers Esprit, Henrik Augustus, and also Alvin Thomas. Alvin Thomas had a public service career that spanned well over 2 decades in the government service. Also served, also served for 20 plus years at various levels in a number of community organizations, to include the Dominica Public Service Union, then called the Dominica Civil Service Association. We know of Herring Augustus, former police worker, former executive member of the Waterfront and Island Workers Union, now resides in America. So was Esprit, the guy that actually wrote the cabinet paper for what we now celebrate as the World Aquarium Music Festival. Multi-talented cultural enthusiast. Make them welcome. Guys, first question up. Tell us about your experience at the St. Mary's Academy. We start with Albert Jones. First move.
I would say that SMA provided a solid foundation for what I eventually become. And as was said in the previous panel, we are the students of the 70s, 72, that period. We know that there was a consciousness, or consciousness, identical consciousness, a black consciousness. That's what we call it. I started SMA in 1970 in Finchon, St. Paul's. And I think that it was even the revolution or the protest, whatever we want to call it. I mean, we were young then, but we were all absorbed into that. And just imagine what it's. This is a Catholic school headed by Bishop Bogart, run by brothers. And you're coming home and say to your mom, you protest. That's like the kind of thing. But that is what I think it sort of shaped us. And I think when I graduated from school, as you might be aware that I went straight into the public service. At that time, it was pretty good to get jobs anywhere, everywhere in hiring. And I recall that my godmother, Ruth Nicholas, deceased, she worked at Barclays Bank. And she said, well, you can come over to Barclays Bank. I said, no, because we just protest when we retired. I'm not going in this somewhere anytime. So I wanted to go to public service. And as I entered the public service, I almost immediately gravitated into the union. I recall my second day maybe on the job at the audit department. I saw Coffee here, Coffee's father, Robin, Berger Robin, his dad, Mr. Dorman Robin, was the director for it. And I ended up signing off but even around that time, the 17th, the CST was. Wow. So I went up and signed off to become a shop steward. And that Mr. Robin called me to his office. Said, young man, are you serious? What are you doing? You just started working here. So I went back to the union and I told Charles Sabra, he just told me, Mr. Robin don't want me to join the union. He said, don't worry, Robin. Robin got the president of CSA. What are you talking about? Sign the paper, man. Don't worry, Robin. And the rest is history. And I served as general secretary. It was everything from there. So I think I would say what I got from SMA gave that foundation. Although you may not be aware of it at the time, that young kind of, not knowing much, but it sort of shaped me in all of my future career in the public service and my involvement in other community organizations. Well, like everything else, I mean, we got to give hats off to the principals, whether it was in Brother Jubin Time, or Mr. Robert Sorrento, or Mr. John Baptist. I mean, I don't know if you have any boys, but I got 2 boys. And those of you who are 2 boys or 3 boys, nobody is raising 3 boys. Just imagine having 300, and how many you got there now? 330 boys you have to deal with for a 5-year period. So we got into some mischief, like to the Tutti. For some reason, Tutti Tutti,
Call the
I
police.
guess he was, I don't want to say he was a spoiled child of the club, but Tutti would bring some recess that would serve the whole class. I don't know when his brother tell me what's going on a big thing, but this man would bring recess, and I would say to him, recess. When every people not be taken. So of course, at that time the brothers were stern, you know, anything like that is a demerit. You know, detention, 5 minutes, the detention. And in those days, you are kidding. So, you know, so.
Thank God I didn't snitch.
So, so in that situation, you know, anytime the brother call you to the office, you're nervous like that because you know you're not going there for interview or anything like that. So yeah, we got involved in a few little mischief. The other thing is that we had a name for everybody. Like I see one of our classmates, your mother Garys. Don't tell me all the name talk about. Another guy was called Lusong. Yeah. In French class. So anytime you're in the class and you maybe mispronounce or you say something, you get a nickname and stay with you for the whole 5 years. Even when you leave school, you know, you will find that, you know. So I think it was a great year. Uh, I love Malcolm Matter. And I think you asked the question earlier. My eldest brother went to SMA. My uncle went to Brown. Or dad and all went to Brown. But I went to SMA. My eldest brother went. I went to my brother after me went. My two boys went to SMA. So SMP and then
By the way, Senpai, condolences because of the greatest DJ ever performed. Eric Briber Custis, tell us about your tenure, your life at St. Mary's Academy and all, what the part it played in their development. Well, to be honest, press the button. Should be able to. When try. Okay, you guys get me now? Yes. All right. Well, the question was, what was my experience? And it is every of that I do. I'm just kidding. Yeah, we entered in 16, 17 Europe, and it was tough, but you have to study because Catholic schools don't play. You know, and you know, we tried our best, and some of us, most of us did well. I want to say kudos to this brother right here, Henry Baldwin. He was the first one who initially, he was the one who came up with a history teacher. But when we got to fourth form, he felt that we were so brilliant that he was going to ask. At that time, we had Brother Felix get taken over from the white brothers. After the revolution, we closed down for a year. I think a whole year. Yeah, right? And we were in limbo. We didn't know if we were going to continue our education, but Father Felix Goodhart came in and we reopened the school. But Henry Baldwin decided, okay, he's going to talk to Father Felix for this cheese he said that was great. So they decided, okay, we're going to do one cheese at that time. They weren't doing FCFC or whatever, just cheese and LLC or papers being corrected in England. And he said, you guys can want these 3 subjects. You know? So we were probably the first set of kids who studied doing O levels in football. Right? Right. So now the question, I remember what I was talking about kids that went to convent and French. That started when Father Felix, that those guys who did the 3 subjects in football were loose. When they were history, a lot of us were loose. English, And what was commerce? That was the three subjects that we were allowed to do before that. But I did French because I was born French. You know, I was born at 11. So I was able to do the French as well. When we had three classes, because we had passed those O levels, like Father Philip said, I'm going to change that now. So he spoke to the nuns at convent and the principal of West High School. So he asked them whether they can accept a couple of the kids that are just doing nothing during these experience. So some of us went to convent. Well, I attended three high schools. I attended convent high school. I attended West High School. So my experience was extremely difficult. I became captain of the football team. 1971 and 72, I think. We had challenges against these two guys. See, listen together. The second partners ever seen. Bull and Simon Robin. Yeah, these guys were, you know, I'm kind of a lot of trouble, but we were able to defeat them all the time. One thing, from cricket, they would use white robots because they have a cricket field. But we dominated the football. I remember Rovers with this guy in the back. They had no chance, man. What was basketball? Basketball, well, to be honest, I didn't play basketball because my fingers were too skinny. I was able to take springs from my fingers, you know, balls and everything. You know, but St. Mary's Academy was the strongest basketball team in Dominica for a number of years. Because we introduced the game to the island, and we also tried baseball. Baseball didn't catch much. That's the wrong bit. So one game I liked was shuffleboard. I love the shuffleboard, but I don't play that no more. Right?
Yes, but also it was boxing.
Boxing, yeah. All those things. This game was then I graduated from high school and then I went to Trinidad to another Catholic school called St. Mary's College. And again, Father Felix was the one who brought me from St. Mary's College into youth. After I migrated to the US, but I worked at the port in Dublin. My brother here, Warwick, and he was the only guy I slept with. Yeah. Clarify. Please clarify. Clarify. So, my mom, she was a sheriff, and these people are very, very strict. So I was raised with a couple of brothers, Curtis, Johnson, and Madison, and we slept in different rooms. But I slept with my other brother, the one before Johnson, eventually died in America. Anyhow, that was the only person, the only name that I remember sleeping in the same room. But then we were fortunate enough to go to Russia, Moscow. And we spent 6 months in Moscow. So he was my roommate. That's enough for now. So much just very importantly, we tipped up to decide to dethrone the Gregory Benoit, which we eventually did. So we tipped up a guy called Bobby Clark from Barbados to overthrow the regime of the 10-11 brothers. And when we came back, we really overthrew them. I became the chairman and he became the vice chairman of the port. So let's go. We are going to tell us about your experience at St. Mary's Academy. and how it paved your life, how it paved the avenue towards what you've become now. Mike, okay, sir, I guess.
Look, yes, yes, you're going to get good. It's fine, it's fine. Okay, first of all, nice to see everybody here tonight. Welcome. Yeah, I always knew you are good. Pedro and I were brothers with Tati. And we always wanted to go to St. Mary. For a number of reasons. Obviously, one was Catholic education. Interestingly, yeah, they wanted a Catholic education. Secondly, I had brothers, I had cousins. With James School. Yeah, somewhere there. James at Francis School. And of course, we had some heavyweights who came from Mao to St. Mary. Eric and Henry. So, Mr. Dorman, father of Indian Dorman. George Murphy Sr. And the list goes on. We had some real giants from the community who went to St. Mary's. Of course. So I don't bring them. You have to go to St. Mary's. And so I listen parents. And for me, crucially, there are two important things. One is the sense of community. That's what we give me and to those of us. Particularly, I would say, I would grab and those and say the guys of 1970. Those of us who entered in 1970, we were like brothers. There's a brotherhood. And I would say throughout the school life, it was about community, ethical sense, but a sense of community and community. That's one. The second thing was discuss, which I will discuss social education and cultural truth. And in many ways, I think that's up to shape our lives and shape who we are about to live in it. The observers of the 1970s, what probably is offers, what is it? The revolution to work out of April 1972. In many ways, helped to give us a certain kind of consciousness about who we are as a nation growing and as young men, black men in the society and the future we want to dominate the region. As just remember in the 1970s, don't have don't farmer development, dominated by colonialism, a dominated where people socialism. And those of us who came from the countryside, from the communities, we had to struggle with that and for those difficult times. And so when we went into St. Mary's, we had to raise and this topic level of consciousness. And I think that really was a very important period for most of us who went through 1970. However, I have to say, because of so there's a good part, it's clearly it helped to raise our consciousness, but also in many ways impacted on the educational system and process. Those of us who went through the 1970s, so from 1775 for the arrival of Brother Edwin Children, the new went to school challenge for many years, lack of resources, unable to attract for teachers at the university. You have parents and families struggling to get their kids to school. So it was difficult. And a lot of us we were impacted by that. And so, but not in spite of that, the SM is still in the foundation. And Linford Church said, well, it did diminish the quality of the learning and experience we have. Because even if we didn't go to 6 months, even if when people didn't go to college, but when we left, let's say, when we took into other countries, other areas, that's sort of the mistake. Later years I went to college, I went to university, and people say, well, I'm interested. But where did that foundation from? I have always said that strong foundation is
Because of time, we're not going to ask you about this particular function where we are gathered and the amount, the wealth of experience and knowledge here is immense. And the type of contribution some of these gentlemen made to Dominica is humongous. I really hope that we could have some magazine where we could display, I haven't heard of it, the talents that are just here and out there from the St. Mary's Academy. And then we can at least teach our younger people, our younger students, from even SMP to emulate some of the greatest men alive, greatest men alive, smartest men alive.
That's right.
Guys, tell us about the function, how important it is to have this reunion, and how in your case how difficult it was to put it together, and how you feel like it is now coming to completion, and the achievement, the renovation of that special wing at the St. Mary's Academy, how important it is.
Yeah, thanks for that question again, Wyatt. But Brother Jubin normally says, St. Mary men of action. Is that what you say the A stands for? Solid men of action. That's how Brother Jubin describes it. But whichever way you want to call it, the smartest men alive, because we know we're the smartest men. I mean, no disrespect to all the DJs in the room, but we're the smartest men alive. You can see it wrong. I mean, when you think of music, the Mary's Academy, starting with Gordon Henderson, Fitzroy Williams, Bob, Dice, Shelley, Shadow Flow,
Linford
Drake for John, The Ghost. I mean, I can go on and Tim Durant. That's music.
Kenny the Ghost,
Kenny the Ghost. When you think of politics, I mean, Kasani,
WCK,
Cornell. When you think of business, I mean, names and names. Look, we have the former ambassador of the Oasis and CARICOM, SMA, you know. So,
sports also very interested in sports.
so SMA has really produced quite a bit. And to answer your question in a more direct way, I'm hoping that this initiative would create an awareness among SMA alumni across the globe. Because, as I said earlier, the question of education should not be left entirely with the staff and the principals. Every one of us have an obligation. Every one of us have an obligation. And it is not something that we say, well, oh, government should or the church should. When that question is raised, I said, who's the church? Who's the church? I mean, Brother German had the vision to build that wing. Prior to that wing being built, the school could not accommodate a certain number of students. And as Sobers rightly said, St. Mary's brought together boys from Woodford Hill, Bagatelle, Fort St. Jean, Roseau, Goodwill. It was a melting pot. I think my brother Tim Dura said when he came down to school from San Sylvia at the time, I think when he came from Good Hope, guy said him, when I touch the boy, come on. But that is what it is. Now, currently, Brother Jermaine had a vision for the Edward Jermaine wing and the SMP. The roof of the Edward Jermaine wing got damaged through Hurricane Maria. And we know the challenges there is, not just for schools, but several other buildings. It needs replacing. The roof has outlived its life. The building is almost 30 or plus years old. It has lived its life. And we have a group of us, SMA boys, I must say thanks to them for the support that they have provided and the various donors as well, friends of SMA, persons who not necessarily attached to SMA. But the roof is in need of replacement. And we are talking a replacement in the tune of almost $400,000 plus to replace that roof. Okay? And there are other issues, there are other development requirements that is going. The school has a woodwork shop. You remember the woodwork shop? The school has a woodwork shop, and there are equipment in the woodwork shop that value well over $100,000. Really good equipment, planers, you name it. And the roof of that woodwork shop itself is compromised. Any little wind that might blow will take away the roof. And it means, therefore, that if those equipment get compromised, we had a loss of well over $100,000 worth of equipment. So there are a number of things. And finally, I will say mentorship is important. It's not just a Dominica issue, it's worldwide. But more so Dominica, our men, our young men, they have to show a certain level of responsibility and be there to provide some sort of mentorship for young men. St. Mary's Academy and St. Mary's Primary is the only all-boy high school in the country. Only one. All the other high schools are co-ed. Co-ed.
Wesley.
Well, as boys.
As boys.
Boys. Okay? All boys. And just imagine, as I said, this is John Baptist has a school population now of 330 young men. And it pains my heart. I saw a young man who went to SMA, walking all over the place, not with the right frame of mind. And he was a very bright student, from what I understand at SMA. And he followed the wayside. We got to figure out a way of capturing our young. And one of the activities we have this week is a educational forum where we're going to look at education and what does education look like and should look like in this 21st century. The kids today have more at their disposal than we had. We didn't have cell phone at the time. We didn't have internet, anything of that nature. Encyclopedias was what we used and go to the public library. Now you have AI and you have all this type of, all this technology. We have to figure out how we're going to get the young men involved in this. How do we look at education? So I'm saying all of this to say that we, as who walked that road 50 years ago, have that obligation and responsibility. And therefore, when we make that appeal and we make that call out to our the school this year observed 93 years, Brother Joby, 1932. 1932, 4th of April 1932, started off with 14 young men, 14, 1-4, at the St. John's Hall. The headmaster then was S.J. Lewis, that's father of Ozzy Lewis. Okay? 93 years ago, we'll soon be approaching 100 years, 7 years from now. It is my hope that those of us who are around and we can see that 100 years, that we can see an academy that is really solid and to provide a strong legacy for our young.
How Eric and Subas can we use the experience here to allow the SME experience to be one of more value? We can assist the school to actually meet its needs and to assist in renovation.
So I think first thing is we have to recognize that there has to be a strong foundation, right? We have to build strong foundation, strong market, strong side, strong leader. Something like this. If they want to solve this problem, it's very complex. They will find ways to do that. So I don't think that we should love the problem of today. We need to rise to hands. Let's solve it. One, we have to really engage with alumni community. For too long, there was the same thing. We would not feel integrated for enough. As one community, a lot of software here and a lot of the skill of the law and vice versa. A lot of us, professionals, go to our business, back to school and so on. So that's the first thing. So we have to find a mechanism to get us united, to get us together. What's the mechanism? So we bring together an alumni association that can bring in alumni from all over the world. Whether in Japan or New York or wherever. Now we have the internet, so there's no question about gaps. So we can use that first. So some kind of organization that brings together the alumni community. Secondly, we have to create databases of students of alumni. But wherever they are, I got one more, 2017. My friend, Anthony, John, this place for grammars. So this at the back there. See, let's give him a round of applause. To leave school to go and represent North Club. But this is what for so instead of doing different, three different bases of student of alumni of the university. The first thing is we need to look at program of action that addresses all the issue. So is mentorship. What is mentorship? What does mentorship look like? What we do it? Who will initiate? Who are the people who get involved? What quality of people we want involved in that? So that's the right. So a strong program of action that is driven by, first of all, the critical needs of, let's say, current generation. So what's about delinquency, drug addiction, and so on and so forth, whatever it is, drop out of school. So let us address those things in a comprehensive fashion, in a meaningful way, so that we can in fact change, bring about real change. So so I say one is a re-engagement. Two is business. Three is a program of action. Yeah. The fourth one is policy. We just spoke about it. We have to advocate for at least some policies to cover the education now in the next 3 years. The education that we have in the executive cannot repeat what we need now. We need a new paradigm shift to education. There has to be meaningful reform of the education system to look at in particular in terms of the school plans. What kind of school plan do we want? The aperture will be how many months we reconstruct it. We climate smart, technology driven, so on and so forth. So these are the issues that for us. We have a lot of talents that have come from school over 93 years. Let us try to speak of them, mobilize the talent, mobilize the resources, mobilize protection that we have all over the world, and to address those problems that have been so intractable for those 90 folks. We have come a long way. There have been many challenges along the way. Some people have been said, we see a lot of young men. Some people may say they are brilliant guys, guys, but we have problems with the business in the future. We have the first place with the school population, the alumni population. How can we help people to address problems? So I put forward those ideas as a way for us to look at next years, next 90 years to address this.
First, 100 at the end of this. No reply, that's
What would you just see that we talk about music, guys, SME was also principally involved for a driven by what happened in terms of the performance. This year, performance area. We developed what we wanted to get. Yeah, SME. The church, report Lawrence, one in this, and so on. So we have some titans who help to shape the culture and the heritage of our region. On November 21st and 2nd, the Open Foundation, a foundation of spirit to honor and to build up this legacy. We'll be putting on the Blade Strip, the 50th anniversary of that day. So we just shout out to us inside here to support that production by Orbit Body and will be performed on November 21st and 2nd.
Okay, thank you very much, Super Sasmi. Very Augustus. Take a mic.
We already starting to wind down.
No, we have the feature address.
What I don't expect you can say out there.
I love that.
But guys gave you everything that we need to know. My position is, from the time I was told about this, I decided I was going to try to be the half. I was the one who figured to meet the police. I sent to some of these guys on all the one-on-oneers and the one with the world. So eventually, it came like somebody get close to 60
50 students. I can't believe it. The first ones had 60 something students. And now teachers are saying, the classroom is too big. But we were in high school and there were lots of us. So I am the hub. I call everyone. Make sure that, even when we had the gathering on Saturday, I took my phone and all the guys who are out there still that I communicate with, I call them. We FaceTime. The bunch of us who were there at the school on Saturday, they were able to talk to those that were outside. Michael Roberts, he was once a head boy. He lives in Queensland, Australia. We were able to get him. I was able to get him on the phone. And he spoke with everyone. There were tears in their eyes. Everybody was happy to see the kind of camaraderie that we have. Okay, like I said, don't like me, can't say anything much. Final from this particular panel, having retrofitting, just finally, before we take the future speaker.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Just two things I want to say very quickly. We started this process a little over a year ago, and then, we round up a few guys and say, hey, we got to do something. And one such person that started off the journey with us, is no longer with us, is Jeffrey Brisbane. Jeffrey was part of the 75 class, and he was part of the planning committee. In state, no, and I remember when we had our first meeting, maybe the second meeting, Jeffrey said he's not doing too well, and but he continued coming to meetings right to the end up until the time he could. So I just want to honor and respect the work of Jeffrey. Really. And those of you who know Jeffrey's involvement in Carnival, in CLC, in festivals, you name it. But the other thing I just want to say though is that in terms of what education should look like, there is a group of us, old boys, going all the way back from the 60s, currently the 80s or thereabout. We have established in the United States St. Mary's Academy, Illumina Infrastructure and Development Fund Incorporated. So we have that foundation registered in the US and incorporated in the US. And we also have 501(c)(3) status in the US. So we can get tax write-off from corporations, that the corporations will provide us support to get tax write-off. And we have an account in the US attached to that particular foundation with the Bank of America. And also in Dominica, we have just submitted an application for the registration of a foundation in Dominica, known as the St. Mary's Academy Alumni Infrastructure and Development Foundation Incorporated. I must say thank you to the Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Raymond Blackmore, who has signed off on our application. The documents are all in, so it's just a matter of finalizing all the necessary protocol. That is in place, and we are aggressively in effort to respond towards the project. Also, we have started a discussion with an institute in the US called the XQ Institute. They are heavily involved in education. And the Prime Minister of Barbados get into some discussions with them a year or two ago, and they built an innovation center, they call it, an innovation center grown up in Barbados. That is the foundation in the US, but having conversation with that institute. We hopefully will have our second meeting with them on the 20th of this month. And some of the things that we're looking at, as you mentioned, the question of retrofitting. How do you make I was on the ground floor, the second floor of the Equity Machine, and trust me, it was burning up. So how do you retrofit this building to make it much cooler? How do you retrofit the old building? So hopefully we'll be having that meeting, that conversation with them, the board, on the 20th of this month. And moving from there, we want to engage them aggressively and get them to commit to some development and assistance for the school. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you very much, Madam Henry Augustus. Alvin Thomas and so this around the world for comments as you get set. To move on, and I must say one of the hallmarks of tonight's event is punctuality, discipline, and confidence. The Symbols Academy gave you that kind of confidence. Tutti was shy and when he left us in me, he had that particular confidence. It gives us great pleasure to now welcome to this special ceremony this evening, the feature dress. Make him feel welcome. Attending the floor, Ray Harris. The distinguished Ray Harris. Come on, forward.
Good evening. Very difficult to follow these two excellent and the extraordinary talent of Brother Bob. Because most of us who were at the Mass yesterday had heard his rendition of Ave Maria. Extraordinary. Tonight, I would like us to reflect on 5 life lessons based on my own life. The first life lesson is life is a spiritual journey in depth of flesh. The word spiritual relates to matters of the spirit, and the word spirit is commonly used to refer to the non-physical part of human beings, the spirit soul, the seat of the emotions and character. It must be remembered that in Genesis 2:7 we read, God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils a breath of life, and he became a living soul. And the word journey can be said to refer to a trip from one place to another, or a process of personal growth and development involving challenges and learning through experience. For example, there you are, living souls, listening to me in temples of flesh, looking through those eyes, smelling, tasting, touching, experiencing life on earth in this beautiful nature island, Dominica. As we read in John 14:2, in thy Father's house are many mansions. This earth mansion of the Father's house is a school for souls to experience life within the limitations of this 3-dimensional material plane. Earth is a school, like our alma mater, the St. Mary's Academy. The only difference is it is the ultimate university for souls like you and me. We who experience life on earth in temples of flesh tend to be more consciously aware of the slower vibrating substances of gases, liquids, and solids. However, regardless of what name you know carry, the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent one, the consciousness behind all consciousness, is at the center of your being. Without that conscious essence, that divine spirit, the Christian Paras, the Holy or Christ Spirit, you would not be experiencing the life that you're presently enjoying. That conscious spirit is a silent observer or witness within you right now. The earth journey is for us to evolve and develop character, that intangible but crucial aspect of being human. Hence, as we continue our journey, it might be wise to always remember that all life is of substance in vibration. This is not only in sync with modern science that indicates that everything is energy, but is an eternal spiritual law. In the Bible, Hebrews 11:1, the word faith is defined as follows. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. With that definition of faith in mind, like we do in laws, every time you see the word faith in the Bible, you substitute the definition. You would be amazed of where it works. For example, in Hebrews 11:3, we read, through faith we understand that the word was framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made from things which do appear. And further in Hebrews 10:38, we are reminded that the just live by faith. And always remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hence I say to those who have ears to hear, because all life is of substance in vibration, and the more subtle spiritual substances of creation are malleable. What you think about with emotion, energy in motion, tends to come about. The second life lesson is education is the path to liberation. Education might be said to be the path from limitation to liberation, because it transforms the mind, shapes the character, and opens the door to opportunities that would not have been possible without education. Ignorance, that is a lack of knowledge, limits human potential, trapping individuals in cycles of fear, restricted choices, and dependency. In Hosea 4:6, we read, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Through education, one gains knowledge, skills, and confidence to critically think and pursue lives of creativity, dignity, and purpose. Those of us who have been blessed with higher education certainly know the importance of secondary and tertiary education. Tonight, many of us are here because of our shared secondary school experience at the St. Mary's Academy, which granted us the necessary discipline and knowledge to succeed at the tertiary level and as professionals. However, notwithstanding the importance of secondary, tertiary level education, I humbly submit that early childhood education matters the most. And further, that spiritual principles ought to be incorporated into early childhood education, because it is the true foundation of learning. Those formative years of a child's life are crucial. Whatever you put in the subconscious mind of a human being in those formative years, from birth to 7, becomes their programming for life. If you lose them in the first 7 years, it might be very difficult to save them thereafter. I don't want to be drafting juvenile sentencing law in 14. I therefore invite you to consider that the emphasis in early childhood education should be the trinity of literacy, numeracy, and spirituality. Hence, as we develop our early childhood education, a component of civics syllabus could incorporate some basic spiritual principles that can be found in Christianity and all leading religions. Principles like truthfulness, honesty, love, which includes respect for others, kindness, compassion, forgiveness, doing unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Also teaching children the spiritual principle of as you sow, so shall you reap. Basic law of cause and effect. That is important. As you consider this and reflect on this, it is noteworthy that our educational laws speak right there in the law of cultural, moral, and spiritual development. The third lesson is your integrity is everything. Guard it with your life. Earlier I spoke of your spirit soul, which is the seat of your emotions and character. And your character refers to your patterns of behavior, attitudes, and moral qualities, including good and bad traits. Whereas integrity signifies a consistent adherence to a moral and ethical code. Integrity is therefore the essence of good character. It is the strength to act with honesty, to speak the truth, regardless of external pressures. It requires consistently living by principles rather than doing whatever is convenient. With integrity, success can be enjoyed. Your mind can be at peace. Without integrity, achievements can be hollow and without substance. It is the foundation upon which lasting personal or professional relationships develop and thrive. And true leadership is realized. When you're in charge of an assignment or project, be committed, put in the hours. I think it is Albert Einstein who said, genius is 1% talent, 99% hard work. Incidentally, the only way to guard your integrity is by the way you live your life. The fourth lesson is pray, work, and meditate. The fourth lesson is the motto of the St. Mary's Academy, coupled with meditation. Ora et labora, pray and work, represents the principle of balancing prayer and work. This guiding principle emphasizes that both spiritual devotion and work are essential parts of life, with each complementing the other. It is posited that the combination of prayer, work, and meditation is the recipe of success. Some may say prayer is speaking to God. Meditation, on the other hand, is quietly toning down the ego and listening to God. Some pray for prayer, others meditation. The truth is, we human beings should use both prayer and meditation. The need to pray and meditate is as essential to your spiritual life as breath is to your physical life on earth. As regards prayer, always remember, whatever you desire when you pray, believe you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11:24, Matthew 21:22. This powerful principle of faith fits perfectly with the definition of faith that we spoke of earlier. The emphasis is on aligning your desires with God's will and acting in faith, as if the request has already been fulfilled. Although meditation like intermittent fasting has become popular of late, meditation is less understood. Meditation might be said to be focused awareness, transcending the attachment to thought, calming the mind, connecting with inner stillness and peace. It can be thought of as a centering process that brings you to the inner eye of your being. It is the ultimate method of realizing the maxim, man, know thyself. Incidentally, many erroneously think that this maxim originated in Greece, but its true origin was in Egypt, more correctly referred to as Kemet. This maxim might be said to be awakening to your true essence, beyond the ego, realizing divine consciousness within, thereby assisting one to live in harmony with universal wisdom and love. Remember, we read, be still, know that I am God. Before moving on to the fifth and final lesson of life, in that we all work, we certainly know that work not only sustains our lives, but gives our lives purpose, fosters growth, creates value, and uplifts both ourselves, our families, our institutions, our nations, and by extension, the world. The fifth and final lesson is love is the fulfillment of the law. Love is the fulfillment of the law, might be said to be the essence of all moral and spiritual truth. All laws, even those enacted by man, which exist to regulate and guide human behavior, so as to develop societies, nations, and a world based on love, peace, harmony, respect, and justice. Rules without love can become rigid, heartless, and burdensome. Love is the principle that gives meaning to every aspect of life. Love is always fair, just, and equitable. One who truly loves God, the creative source, consciousness behind all consciousness, who loves self but loves others as themselves, does not need external compulsion, because love prevents harm to others and actively seeks to ultimate good for all of us. Love, like faith, is not just a word or an emotion, but is also of substance with a particular vibration. It is the highest vibrating substance on planet Earth. Love embraces forgiveness. Because what is love without forgiveness? It also embraces gratitude that attracts more to be thankful for and creates unity in human relationships. In the past, there was a vast chasm between spirituality and science. But as Western science evolves, it merely proves what has been taught by Jesus the Christ and spiritual teachers from time immemorial. Scientific research carried out by the Institute of Heart Math in California shows that heart-centered love generates and promotes physical, emotional, and spiritual health. On page 33 of a book entitled Heart Math Solution, we read, the heart's electromagnetic field is by far the most powerful produced by the body, far greater than the brain. It is said that the heart's electromagnetic field not only permeates every cell in the body, but radiates up to 8 to 10 feet from the body. Hence, when one lives by the high-frequency substance of pure altruistic love, one encircles himself or herself with the high-frequency vibration of love. This is one's electromagnetic field, or auric shield of love, which is your highest form of protection. In light of this, one can therefore better understand the exhortation of Jesus the Christ to love your enemies. Many are puzzled by this precept of love thy enemies. However, understanding the law of love, love being the highest vibrating substance, one is shielded from slow vibrating thoughts of hate directed to him or her. That is if one lives by the law or substance of love. Closing, I tell you a secret. The slow vibrating thoughts of hate are not only repelled by your orange shield of love, but boomerang straight back to the center. Hence why you are asked by Yeshua or Jesus the Christ to pray for them. That is the law. Remember, it is said that God judges us from the heart. And he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. My fellow alumni, my friends, well wishers of St. Mary's Academy, thanks for your patience. Thanks for your time. And just to make a transition, I'm going to think of something in light of the fact that SME is nothing close to us, that almost in every field, but entertainment. Frank Sinatra supposedly said, and he was a great entertainer, like many of us from the St. Mary's Academy. He once said, they say that alcohol is a man's worst enemy, but the Bible says, love thy enemies. Let's have a drink.
Continue.
Not really.
You are simply brilliant. And I really do hope that this speech can really take you on. And we can share this speech so that our children can now sit. So our children can hear this simply brilliant. Brilliant. Mr. Robinson.
No.
Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harris. Brilliant. We don't call on Mr. Linford Akrab John to sing us a couple songs before our refreshment. Is Akrab in the building? Okay. So we now go to the vote of thanks with Joe Victor Lewis, member of the SMA Alumni Reunion Committee. Make it feel welcome for the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master Ceremonies. I'm going to apologize to David this evening. So we make some adjustments there. Before I have to run away because he had a previous engagement. So we have dropped out out of the program. Anyway, on behalf of the committee, I want to thank all of you for showing up. It's been a wonderful evening. It has been a joy to see some of my colleagues. I went to school in 1969. That's a long time ago. But in my class, I had Damien Dublin. It's 18, 20. Robert Alexander. Edmund Tavernier and his brother, Samuel Smith. And there's a Bertrand Telemark. And there's so many. Actually, I went to school before I was in Thomas. But somehow seems to dominate all over that. You know, he calls and we respond. And that's what happened to us in April of 2024. Paul asking a few of us to join this committee to put this reunion together. There were about 10 of us, including, as he mentioned earlier, Jeffrey Brisbane, Jonathan Prevost, who they call Trouble. So because he always created a lot of trouble. Alcott Hamlet, Damian Dudley. There were quite a few people, David Fonte and so on. But afterwards, so was Johnny and who else? Well, Tutti wasn't born very early, but there was few others that joined it later on. But this group sat many meetings. We started in, as I said, in April, but then Jeffrey fell ill, and that kind of slowed down the momentum for a while. But they picked up later when Jeffrey says, listen, I don't want you to drop this thing, I want us to continue, because SCB deserves it. Subsequent to that early April 2024 meeting, another committee was formed to deal specifically with and I've been mentioned it earlier. And that committee has taken out. This reunion has been a trial. It is not easy trying to reconnect with SFA students. It has been a work in progress. We formed a group on WhatsApp, and we formed guys, as we said, one was in Queensland, of all places, another one is in South Africa, another one has gone to Ghana. So they're all over the world and doing all kinds of things. We've got musicians, we've got politicians, we've got sports people, business people, it's lawyers. We've produced our clients around this company. So you want to be program. So on behalf of the committee, all of you will show it up. And especially those who participated, as usual, we want to he's been part of our lives for a number of years, and he continues to be. When we did this group together, we asked him one day to speak at one of our Zoom meetings, and he led the meeting throughout. We've had run a journey, take far. It's not been easy for him, but he's got support locally that really provides the kind of assistance he needs for him to participate in our meetings. Very pleased. Mr. Wally, I meant to get it over class week for just if any of you pick up the groups that you see. One of the class pictures that Mr. Rupert Lance is in it, and I met him in talking with him today. I'm sorry he couldn't be here. He said he had some medical matters to deal with. But he is one of those people that have been part of the school since we were there. And he said it's going to be what, 78 or something like that will be in a few months. And he's still there. He had a help teacher. She's still at the school, I understand, after all this time. So people who are have been part of SAP will always be SAP. So thank you all of you for participating, and thank you for providing the kind of support that SAP needs, because it definitely needs it right now. Thank you very much. And I'm glad to be here.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This brings the night to a close. It's time to drink.
Thank you. Joe Victor.